This morning, I met the oddest couple. When people come from very different circumstances, often as the romance fades, their family training kicks in. You will not believe some of the stories that brought today's couple into divorce court.
Divorce court is now in session.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with Keith Tilley and JamiBeth Tilley. The two of you have been married for the past 5 years, separated for the last 9 months. You do not want to be married anymore, and Mrs. Tilley, you are seeking transitional support. Before I get to that, however, Mr. Tilley, I want to talk to you a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your marriage and why you think you're in divorce court here today.
Because my wife has been not faithful to me several times over the past 4 years.
When you say several times over the past 4 years, has she cheated throughout your relationship?
No, just multiple times with multiple people.
Multiple times, multiple
Really, because I find it funny because he's done the same.
When's the first time you suspected she had cheated?
First time was when she had disappeared for a few days.
How long had you been married when that happened?
6 months.
Did you disappear for a few days only 6 months into your marriage?
Not that I can recall, no.
Not that you can recall.
No.
You do not, however, deny that you've cheated on him.
I do not deny that, no.
Okay. When do you say you started cheating on him?
Probably a year after we had our son.
Why?
I feel like we had totally lost it. As soon as I came home from the hospital with my son, he took off. Went all the way across the U.S. I was in Florida. We were all in Florida. And he takes off to California. Doesn't even tell me anything. And just takes off.
Did you take off after she had the baby?
Stays gone 3 months.
Did you
Yes,
take
I
off?
did.
Did you tell her that you were leaving?
No, I did not.
Why did you take off?
Well, we were low on money. I needed to do some work to support my family. I knew that if I said something to her, she would stop me from going.
But you don't say anything to your wife?
You mean to tell me?
I mean, come on.
You were concerned about money and supporting your family, so you just bounced without telling her where you were going or when you were coming back, thinking that that's the best thing you could do for your family. Is
When
that
I
what you're
just
telling
came
me?
home from
And
having
she
his kid.
just came home from having a baby.
I had warrants out for my arrest at the time.
Oh.
CPS come to see us at the hospital. She had failed for a drug test for marijuana when she had actually abandoned me.
That
to
he
go
had
back to
provided
Arkansas.
because I was throwing up.
We have a hot mess here.
So,
Sure do.
and in order to keep...
And wait, let me ask you this. Let's back up. Mr. Tilley, you say that you believe that the reason this thing is such a train wreck is because you come from two different social strata. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Why don't you tell me what you think the differences are between the way you were raised and the way she was raised?
Yes, I know she would love to hear how you
Ms.
call
Tilley,
me
now
trash.
don't interrupt me anymore.
Sorry.
I was raised in a more structured environment. You know, go to bed at a certain time at night, eat right. You know, parents were there to study with me for school. Just a more structured environment. I would say a different class. Different
He's trying to say
or
he's better
status.
than me is what he's trying to say.
No, I wouldn't say that. I was just raised in a different manner, more Christian.
Well, what was her socioeconomic situation like when you met her?
When I first met her, she was living with a boyfriend at my neighbor's house. She was going to school. She was actually inspiration.
Yeah, I helped him get into school. I helped his son, graduate high school way early.
Did she do that?
She inspired me to go to school before we were actually together.
You know, you just described a family that was all about support and education, and that she wasn't in that realm. And then you then come to find out she's the one that encouraged you to get an education. I'm not sure what's going on at your
encouraged me,
house.
Your Honor. She inspired me.
Me
when I
neither.
went to Arkansas, I was 33 years old at the time.
Running from the law.
Stop.
I had my first child when I was 16. I'm a grandfather of 4 now. I didn't go to school or to college until I was 33. It was her that inspired me, but not because we weren't even together when I started. I just saw that she had 2 children of her own. She was struggling. She was not directly out of high school. You know, I felt like that if she could do it, then I could do it. I could do it. She did it for doing it for her children. I could do it for my children. And she was like an inspiration.
Do you see that the two of you came from separate backgrounds? Because I'm not seeing it. He described a picture of structure and stability that isn't apparently the case because he, started having kids
Right.
at 16 and wasn't in
No,
school.
we came
How
from-
do you see the socioeconomic
I think we came
balance?
from about the same kind of families.
Uh-huh.
We always had our bedtime. We always had meals. We always had 3 meals. My mom supported us as much as she could. She was a single mom with 4 kids. But she did, and his mom was a single mom with 2 kids.
How long
So-
did the two of you know each other before you got married?
I'll say a year and a half.
A year and a half. When was the first indication that things were not going to go well?
About a month after we got married.
And what happened a month after you got married?
He decided to run off with one of my friends and decided to stay gone all weekend. Finally, when they showed up, I cornered him. I said, "Where you been?" "Oh, we just been off doing things."
Mr. Tilley, did you walk
I
off
end
with
up-
a... Hang on.
Sorry.
Did you walk off with a friend of hers
Never.
after they were married a month, after you were married a month?
Never. Never.
None of that happened. She just
Never.
made that up out of whole cloth.
That never happened. Matter of fact, I would never get with any of her friends.
And
They're
I just-
Let me ask you, what do you believe was the first sign that this thing was going to go off the rails?
when her friend came in, she disappeared with him for 3 days, and they're just best friends. That's when I knew things were.
So somebody ran off with somebody. You say she did it. She says you did it, but it was all off.
Correct. The child gets confused. I say eat this, she says eat this.
But he says
I
he's
say,
taking
do
care of
this,
him all the time.
She says do this.
Okay, Mrs. Tilley, why don't you
Sorry.
tell me who has your child?
We both reconciled.
You share custody.
Yes.
Why are you so upset?
Because our kid is so messed up because of this.
Have you been living together for years but find that splitting up is as complicated as getting a divorce? Call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. Are you recently married but ready to call it quits? Call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. Mr. Tilley, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I've always had a father figure until I left home at 14 years old. And I left home because I come from a broken home.
I'm not quite sure what any of that has to do with anything. You kind of seem stuck on that. What are you trying to demonstrate by making these points with respect to the nature of the family you came from?
Because when we got married, we had an agreement to be married. We had a child together, not at an accident. We planned to have a child.
Before you were married or after?
After we were married, we had a child. So now that agreement's broken. The trust is gone, yet I'm raising a child. Not that I wouldn't have it any other way. He's the reason I go to work every day. But I'm stuck raising a child when her and I had an agreement together as husband and wife to be faithful to one another and to raise this child together as a family. Now, I have a child that's going to be screwed up for the rest of his life because of the broken home thing. I know what it's like. I come from it myself, and I don't believe in divorce, but I also don't believe that a wife should be sharing herself with
Other people.
Exactly.
Just like a
Let me address something for a moment anyway. Just because you come from a broken home doesn't mean you're going to have a screwed up kid. Doesn't mean that at all. Two people, no matter what the difficulties they had with each other, you can co-parent and do so in a constructive and meaningful fashion. Had dinner with a guy just last night who's doing that. They get along well enough to make sure that their child is safe and secure in both homes, and they're not. So don't give up. Don't despair about it. It can happen. You have to make it happen. You have to work hard at making it happen, but it can happen and turn out just fine. You know what I'm saying?
But the structures are different.
Yeah, they are.
When I say one thing and she says something different, the child gets confused. I say eat this, she says eat this.
But he says
I
he's
say,
taking
do
care of
this,
him all the time.
She says do this.
Okay, Mrs. Tilley, why don't you
Sorry.
tell me who has your child?
we both
You
reconciled.
share custody.
Yes.
Okay.
And I get him up in the daytime all day while he's at work, and then he picks him up usually in the evenings.
Why are you so upset?
because our kid is like so messed up because of this. He's so angry.
Your kids are angry?
Yeah, and he's so confused.
Let me ask you this. What is the primary bone of contention in the way you parent your children that is causing them to have structural problems?
I think it's just all the back and forth, so much, constant, every day.
Going from one house to another?
Yes. And he just doesn't, he's just, I mean, we're both stable, don't get me wrong, but he's just so confused, and he's only 4, and he just loves his dad, and he loves his mom both, and all he's known is us together. And it's just been so hard on him, and I feel bad for him.
Mr. Tilley, I take it you would agree with that, would you not?
Yes, ma'am. My wife met someone in social media, and 3 days later, she left home with him.
Ms. Tilley?
I have nowhere to go. I moved all the way to Arizona for him.
If you would like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. Mr. Tilley, tell me what you think is the one major thing that is causing your child to be angry and confused.
My wife met someone in social media, and 3 days later, she left home with him. Me holding my child, both of us crying. She has her bags packed, and she's walking out with somebody she doesn't even know. She's still with the guy. She brings my son home to her place. You know, he has this other man in his life, so he's really confused about that. That's a huge, huge issue.
Ms. Tilley?
I have nowhere to go. I moved all the way to Arizona for him, and now I have no family there. I have no friends, and he says if I leave, then I will lose everything. But I'd rather live on the streets than go all the way back to Arkansas.
Let me ask you this. Was your resolution to that problem to go live with a guy that you've only known through social media?
No, I poured my heart and soul out to this man 2 times, begging him, please change, please.
What do you think he needs to change in order to make, I mean, to me, I don't see a rescuable relationship here because y'all are running around cheating on each other. What I'm trying to figure out is how we can get past I hate you, you hate me, because everybody's done everybody's significant amount of damage. You're even, Stephen, on that. You killed one another. Let's move on from there and try to figure out how we're going to live a life that allows your child to be okay. Right. I'm asking you, who are you living with and how well do you know him?
My boyfriend, I know him pretty well. I know his parents. I know where he's from. I mean, everything about him. I know his birthday. I know his social security number. I mean...
Mr. Tilley, do you have any specific concerns about this individual, that the people that she's hanging around?
Our child knows it's her boyfriend. Our child also knows that she had multiple boyfriends coming over to my home that I paid for and still pay for while we were married. So, and he knows her boyfriend's names.
No, he does not. That's craziness.
You don't talk about it to the child, do you?
No, I do.
Oh, yes,
no,
he
I do
does.
not. My child talks about it to me.
And he calls him names, too.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
I come home one evening, and there's this guy having dinner with my wife at my house. When and they're just friends. No, this guy is still stalking her to this day. This guy has sent pictures of dead babies to my email. He threatens my child's life, and she still talks to him.
No, I do not.
I have emails proving that wrong just from 2 weeks ago when she's having a conversation on the email because she thought she was breaking up with her current boyfriend and going to be out on the street.
Oh,
so
really?
she decides to be like a dog and eat puke up again.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. We're not going to get where I thought we were going to go, but I'm going to try to get someplace else. There's always a whole lot going on in divorce court that people want to talk about. If you have something you want to say, join us on Twitter at Divorce Court or jump on our Facebook page and see what everybody's talking about on there. Sometimes you people get heated. Don't miss it. Divorce isn't easy. If you need help with your breakup, call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. Mr. Tilley, you said you just want your family back? You want her back?
Our child deserves a mother and a father.
But do you want her back? There's a difference.
I begged him, and now he wants it. I still want it, yes. I'll do anything for my kid.
Right here, let's just, boom, right here. 2 things you need to do. You need to stop being angry about what happened. I don't know how trifling and raggedy you were. I think you were pretty little, raggedy,
Yes,
dude here, dude there,
I
all
was.
that kind of stuff. And it's really hard to get. You can't have men rescuing you all the time. It doesn't work out. You have to decide, if you're not happy with your dude, you stay until you're stable enough to go someplace.
Oh, he makes sure I'm not, though. That's the problem.
But
He makes sure he isolates me. I have no phone. I have no vehicle. I have nothing. I stared at 4 walls for 2 years. I stared at them walls and begging him, please,
are
spend
you a
time with me.
controlling dude?
The only time I've taken the phone is when she was sending naked pictures of herself to the guy that still stalks her.
Okay, Mr. Tilley, you got to stop winding all that crap around in your head, because you're going to do more damage to your kid than anything else if you still are so worked up about that guy and the other guy and whatever. Listen, let's all admit that she's been kind of trashy. Let's all stand there. And you brought that on yourself, and to the extent. But right now, both of you, we have to no longer be trashy and no longer be angry in order to be responsible.
Or trashy either, because he's cheated on me too.
Doesn't matter. Everybody acted stone cold tacky.
Right.
Let's all let that go. You did wrong, she did wrong. It was ugly, it was awful, it was terrible. But we're all gonna say that's over. I'm not going to be angry about that anymore, and I'm not going to be angry about that anymore. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to counseling together so we can figure out, even if you don't get back together, we can be co-parents and talk to each other and make sure that we're stable. And if you're really concerned about who she's with and where she's going, you have to financially enable her to be stable if you two can't be in the same home.
I'm
What?
not going to pay for another man's bills that she's living with.
And I think that it would be inappropriate me at this juncture to award her transitional support if she is in fact living with another dude. So I'm not going to do that. And I think that money is so far down the list of you guys' problems that that's not what you need. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you to my therapist, who is here. Great. She is going to start you on a road. But you have to be, the one thing I know for absolute positive sure is you both have been wrong and tacky and foul. You both have to forgive one another for all that tacky, wrong, and foul behavior. Put a period on it for the sake of your son and move forward. Don't keep digging it up. But you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This matter is adjourned, and I wish you the best of luck. I honestly do. What we just saw here is 2 people so angry with one another that they couldn't do what they both wanted to do the most, which was make sure their child is okay. If you or anybody you know is in that situation, what you need to remember is everybody has to admit they were 100% ratchet, 100% wrong, put a period on it, and move forward. If you would like your case to be heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com.